Is astrology a guide to aid us in mastering the universe? This is the Cosmic Community Podcast with Galactic Ambassador Stacey Dredd. This astrology report is for the week of June 2nd, and we're waning off of that big full moon in Sagittarius. Quite a doozy. Hope that you fared well there. And this week we are building up a big T-square between the nodes, the lunar nodes, the north and the south node. They are known as the nodes of fate, the nodes of destiny. Bring in some very fated and destined activity to our lives. Uranus is the planet of surprise and change. So this week, we're just going to say this week, next week, and the week after, very much considered to be a wild card moment because this T-square is going to make some cosmic course corrections take place, give us the opportunity to fall into these areas and really align with our true destiny. Uranus is really the planet of the future anyways. So if we're looking to be at a very important crossroads in life, Uranus is going to be a planet that helps us blow things up, create big change, and really lean into the idea of being awakened and being alive and being free from any chains. And Uranus is about full awakening. And so that's the exciting part of the week for sure in the astrology and so much more. Mercury is also going to be lining up with the nodes of destiny this week. So it's a very, very fated week. A good time to be paying attention and, really, really looking at, creating this intention in every moment, because in these wild card times, we want to keep our intentions very clear so that, if some wild card thing takes place, we are ready for it. So starting on June 2nd, we have a Capricorn moon. Capricorn moons are really great for creating the structure around things, for getting down to business. Capricorn is the hard worker. It's the ambitious one. It wants to take care of things and is an earth sign, so is very good at doing things step by step and taking steps forward to create a more solid structure. Capricorn represents like the skeletal structures of our body and our teeth. So those bony areas, and also in life, it's about the way that we create the foundations and work with the foundations and keep them strong. So Capricorn moons, it's a good time to strengthen the foundations, take care of any business that requires ambition, that requires the ruling planet of Saturn to be involved, which is about taking responsibility and being accountable for the things that we are responsible for. And Capricorn moon is also aligning with the nodes of fate today. So yeah, just a very fated week. It's a good time to take any kind of action in terms of the building that structure, because it's going to be fated. It's going to set up a good, positive, benevolent, it's going to set that up for the future, rolling into the future. Those lunar nodes, they want to cause these course corrections and put us back on track. So also on the 2nd, the sun in Gemini. So it's Gemini season right now, and Gemini is an air sign. The sun is there. We're indulging in being social, in talking and communicating, in being out involved with groups and in social situations. And Gemini is also just all about being mental and using the mind and thinking a lot and writing and sending a lot of messages and creating ideas and talking to people and asking a lot of questions. Gemini is a very curious sign. So this very curious sun on June 2nd is coming into a sextile with Saturn at 12 degrees. Saturn's in Aries. The sun's in Gemini, so it's 12 degrees. This is a thing to look at in your chart. If you know that you have points at 12 degrees, just know that the sun in a sextile to Saturn is going to help with these responsible areas of life. This is going to bring some of that accountability that Saturn does, like with the Capricorn moon, since it rules Capricorn. That is, Saturn is an ambitious one and wants to take care of business and be responsible and be the work driven one, the goal oriented one. And so the sun is like how we are identifying in the world right now. So we're going to have some type of karmic activity. Saturn is karmic, and in a sextile, it's very harmonious. It brings ease and it brings balance. And so something having to do with the way that we are identifying out in these social situations, the way that we're asking questions, the way that we're using our mind and easing into a more harmonious way of accepting the responsibility, accepting the accountability of which is ours. Saturn is in Aries right now, so it's all focused on the self. How can I take responsibility for my life, for the ambitions that I have, for the goals that I have set? This is the work that Saturn is doing in Aries. So some kind of reality check, some kind of karmic checkpoint here on the second in terms of how we are stepping up and easing. A sextile is easing into the responsibilities, the newer changes that are taking place. Saturn in Aries is bringing in a lot of new activity. It's bringing in a lot of changes, and it's coming in hot and fast. And on June 3rd, this is the day that Mercury, the planet of our mind, so more having to do with our mind and the way we're thinking and the way we're talking. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury has just moved into Cancer, so it's out of the Gemini realm. It's doing more thinking and getting more messaging involved in terms of Cancer themes, which is all about the home and the family and the private areas of life. So this Mercury at 4 degrees of Cancer is going to be in a trine and a sextile with the lunar nodes. This is like where we get fated, destined messaging, communications. Mercury is the planet that talks to the other gods, talks to the other planets, and brings the messages back from them. So we could have a realization, with this being a Uranus T-square week. We could have an awakening. We could have a lightning strike realization that puts us on track, that gives us that cosmic course correction. We could receive a message. We could give a message. Something could pop out of our mouth, or some kind of message from the deep, really, that puts us back on track where we need to be. And also, Mercury is in a square with Neptune this day. So this brings in Neptunian hopes, dreams, desires, intentions, and intuition. A square can be a little bit of a challenging aspect, but because Mercury is in a trine and a sextile with the nodes of destiny this day, that means that whatever this activity is about is fated. And so it has your most benevolent your most benevolent life at mind, and is going to ultimately, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment with these lunar node aspects, it's going to ultimately put us on our most benevolent path in the future. On the 4th of June, the moon moves into Aquarius out of Capricorn, and this gives us a big shift. Whenever the moon moves through a sign, takes 2.5 days and shifts into the next one, it's a little bit of an adjustment period, but it does shift our mood. And this is going to be into Aquarius, the sign that is ruled by Uranus, only strengthening more more the energy that's going towards this T-square with Uranus. And it actually doesn't perfect until next week. But because Uranus moves so slow and the nodes move pretty slowly also, the nodes take 18 months to go through a sign, and they're at about 4 degrees right now. They travel backwards in the zodiac. So the nodes, they have to do with these greater themes that we are dealing with in terms of the North Node, where we are headed in our life, and the South Node, the things that we're leaving behind. And so, this wildcard week, it's a time to really lean into the ability to change and to be changeable and to adapt to things. This is another Gemini thing. So with the sun in Gemini, we're loaded up with this maximum ability to just roll with it, baby. So when the moon moves into Aquarius, what is positioned in the first 5 degrees of Aquarius is the planet Pluto. And so also on the 4th, we get the moon in a conjunction to Pluto. And again, Mercury involved here again in an inconjunct to Pluto on the 4th. And so this is more mercurial activity, which is more mental, which is more thinking and thoughts and messaging. And Pluto, the god of the underworld. And this is a place where Mercury will go and bring those messages back that you need. So there's like these undercurrents that are gonna sort of be rattled this week. We're going to have Mercury providing a lot of breakthrough messaging here. So pay very close attention. And again, Pluto can feel like a very tough energy. Pluto's the planet of death and rebirth. So, what is that all about? Well, it's not always just about a physical death and rebirth. It can be about parts of us that we've been needing to let go for a long time, or parts of us that have been holding us back and not serving our greatest good. And those are the things that we lean into when a Pluto aspect is coming through, to just release and let that stuff go and know that it will just be recycled out through into the vortex and back, given to you as something more reasonable and more suited for you. So over the weekend, it's a little quiet with planetary aspects. So what happens is we get a spillover. So we're going to have more of this Mercury messaging, this transformative Pluto messaging coming through over the weekend. The moon moves into Pisces, again, shifting the mood on Saturday. And so Pisces is a much more emotional sign. Aquarius is like detached from emotions, sometimes just very detached even from people. These are like loners, very independent folk. And when we have the moon move into Pisces, it's a water sign. So it's much more emotional. It's much more sensitive. And it's a feminine type of energy. So it likes to kind of lean in to that receptive mode again. And Pisces is a very, it's a sign about compassion and empathy. So there's something about Pisces that like depends on others, and Aquarius doesn't depend on anybody else for anything. They create their own thought. They are free from all chains that could burden them and hold them down. And so the moon moving into Pisces on Saturday, just know that things get more emotional, that we get a little more intuitive, a lot more intuitive. We get a direct connection with source. And as soon as the moon moves into Pisces, the moon is going to conjunct with the North Node, which is another lunar node aspect of the week. North Node is all about the things that want to come into our life. This is like our future, where we are trying to go, and it's trying to lead us there. So when we have North Node activity, like on Saturday, we pay attention. We pay attention to the people we're meeting, the places that we're going, the new type of situations that we're finding ourselves in, and really, really importantly, the connections that we're making that can lead us further into our future. So pay close attention over the weekend for opportunities. And again, wild card week. So it could come out of nowhere. It could look very different than what you feel like this might look like when it comes through. The T-square with Uranus is only building over the weekend and into next week. So get used to surprise, get used to change. We remain adaptable. We use this Gemini energy. See, Gemini is really interesting because it has an aspect to it where it can do this 180 flip. It's sort of known as the two-face. See, because Gemini is ruled by the twins. So it's about being over here and being over here, thinking this way and thinking this way. It's about this and that. Gemini is about doing things twice or multiple times because it is represented by the twins and by this dual aspect. And Gemini is the strong communicator. It is just perfect interaction for a Gemini to be in a one-on-one conversation, learning and asking questions about something that they are curious about. They're very social, just, seeking out these conversations and always asking you that perfect question that gets you thinking, that gets you talking, and gets ultimately, Geminis are just very, very friendly people. So very congenial, I guess. And so they're like your friends. They're just very friendly and so flexible and adaptable. That's part of the mutable nature of the sign. But more than anything, they're just thinkers, nonstop thinkers, and ultimately kind of nonstop doers too, because they're always wanting to do this and that and just gather one more piece of knowledge. Just ask one more question to that person. Just, send one more message. And so be super, super aware of this energy because this is where the Uranus surprise change awakening is going to be coming through. It's going to be coming through this Gemini energy. And so could be quite volatile. There could be even lightning strikes like electricity. This could be electricity between people. Be careful if you are doing any work involving electricity over this T-square with Uranus. Just be super careful. You have turned the electricity off on the breaker before you go for it. And this is ultimately, it's a crossroads. Okay. It's an opportunity for something to snap, for the lightning to strike, and for the cosmic course corrections to take place, because ultimately it's about the future developments. That's what Uranus wants. It's a very futuristic sign, and it's about innovation. It's about technology. This is where even all of the artificial intelligence, I would say, is ruled by the sign of Gemini. Social media, all of the social media platforms, all encased in the energy of Gemini, and all technology. Okay. It's all in there. And so we could see big breakthroughs in terms of this. I just heard a breakthrough that they're using, that they have just created or realized that they can use Wi-Fi technology to identify any human being on the entire planet, even if they have a cell phone on them or not, just because of the amount of Wi-Fi activity that's taking place around us. So I guess if you're somewhere where you have zero Wi-Fi activity, but that's like very, very little places on the planet now, right? So future development, oh my goodness, we are just propelling into it right now. And so that takes us to June 8th. And we just need to be aware that this is another lunar day where we don't have any planetary aspects. So we're going to see more spillover, more of this faded activity, more of this crossroads situations that we find ourselves in. But on Monday, the 8th, we do have a little sweet spot in the evening with the moon in a trine to Venus and Jupiter. And I wanted to bring it up because they're just so beautiful in the sky dancing together right now. Just a little bit after the sun sets and the sky gets a little dark, you can see Venus, the brightest planet, in the western sky, just a bit above the horizon. Beautiful, just gorgeous, shiny Venus, and she's the planet of love. And then Jupiter is not far above her in the sky. And those two are inching closer and closer and closer together. And this is one of the most benevolent planetary aspects in astrology. The ancients would have considered this to be a time of benevolence and good luck. And so, really enjoy it and just know that all of this faded activity, it's all happening underneath a Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Cancer, which has our most beautiful lives, our most benevolent lives, truly at the heart of what they are talking about. So that conjunction between those two is going to be next week also. So we'll be chatting more about that, but do enjoy. And I really appreciate you being tuned in here to the Cosmic Community Astrology with your galactic ambassador, Stacey Dredd, here on 88.9 KPOV Bend. You have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you again very soon. Take care. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Community Podcast. More can be found at kpov.org/thecosmiccommunity.